Do a little Fast Five, do a little this, a little that. Talk about... So, if you were to do a big budget Oedipus film, would you open it on Mother's Day?
Or Valentine's Day, one of the two.
I mean, Oedipus is overrated. I mean, like, it's not really as much about motherfucking as like people would indicate. But there's just enough motherfuck that would make it uncomfortable as a Mother's Day film, unless you roll that way.
Well, you know what the opposite of an Oedipus complex is?
What's that?
If I'm remembering right, it's called an Electra complex.
And that.
So when did they open Electra? Did they open that on Father's Day?
It was in February.
Was it?
So no.
So it was romance times, though.
So Electra was a dad fucker?
Apparently.
Awesome.
I may have that mistaken, but I believe that to be the truth.
See, when I think of Mother's Day, I think of maybe a nice meal, maybe a very minor gift. But
gift from below?
No, that's the thing. I don't want to deliver a... Because what would happen if she got pregnant with you all over again?
Just, it's like a diluted photocopy.
It would be, yeah, it'd be like...
Great. What if just a lower resolution version of you popped out? Like you popped out, but you were kind of fuzzy and out of focus.
Yeah.
When you talked, you were a little mushier, and that'd be great.
That'd be good, actually, because then I would hide it, and people's expectations of the real me would lower. So I could send out the mutant, and I could go, fuck Mother some more. Give her something she needs.
Once you do it once, that's all you've got left.
What I'm saying is don't fuck your mom.
Please don't. Please do not fuck your mother.
I won't. You could finger the shit out of her, though. Finger that bitch all night long. All right.
I think my mom watches this.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mrs. Brown. Is that true what they say?
Oh, no.
All right. Thor. Speaking of. Good afternoon. My name is Nick Nunziata, and I'm your host. One of your hosts. Let's not discredit the work Ren's doing. Right behind the lens of that camera, boy. So it's been an interesting week, to say the least. 6 clowns died in a house fire. A certain dude got shot in a world this week. But most importantly, Guy Pearce not only was rumored to be an alien's Prometheus, as it's not called, but he is officially in that bitch, as far as some people say. Guy Pearce, the Australian star of the gay sitcom in Australia, is now appearing in Ridley Scott's Prometheus. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, the rumor that we broke on Chud.com about Guy Pearce appearing in this Prometheus film is true! Now, some people say it may not be an official Aliens movie, and I say, fuck those people right in the mouth. It's an alien movie. It's gonna have the space jockey doing shit. It's gonna have beasts, people in alien xenomorph costumes. Xenomorph costumes have been spotted on set eating lunch. So fuck you. Fuck you, he's in it.
Hi folks, hi chewers. My name's Renn Brown. I'm your other illustrious host on this Friday wrap-up segment. I want to give you a rundown. It's been a big week. We've had some really cool articles. Elizabeth has done some great stuff. She covered Brad Cooper getting cast in Paradise Lost, and Rachel Weisz and James Franco kind of teaming up for the Oz movie. I covered John Hawkes, the great John Hawkes, who got an Oscar nod for his part in Winter's Bone last year. He's going to be in another movie with several M's called Martha, Marcy May, Marlene. Looks really good. Also has one of the Olsen sisters, not one of the twins. She looks really great. David did some really great stuff this week with a Thor press conference with the cast and the crew, and the illustrious Josh Miller. He did some good stuff with his Franchise Me series. It's been growing great. I think he's hitting Death Wish this week. He's up through 3, I believe. So yeah, check out the website. I'll add some links down below in the article. Give it a shot. Make sure you're keeping up with all the latest news.
I am Nick Nunziata. I'm the set of a major motion picture opening next summer from Paramount Pictures. No other website was invited to the set of this big budget adaptation, but we're here because we have the cutting edge reporting and the access that few others do. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to offer you your first glimpse at the big budget adaptation of Microsoft 95's Screensaver. Here's some news. I was a producer in this movie called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. It's really cool. It's great. It was supposed to come out in January, and it didn't. And then it was supposed to come out August 12th, and it's not, because we're moving back 2 weeks because there's a Final Destination movie that moved to our date, and we're basically the same exact plot. So sadly, you'll have to wait 2 more weeks to see the masterpiece that I was lucky to be involved in. And you may not think I was that heavily involved, but all the creatures are based on me.
Also, big news this week. Quentin Tarantino finally turned in a script for his next movie, The Django Unchained. A lot of rumors flying about, but it seems pretty clear that not a whole lot has happened yet, because he just turned in the script and threw a party, and that's about it. We have heard that Christoph Waltz will be involved, possibly some other folks. We got a little minor possible scoop that Nicky Katt may have a role as a Mexican-American, but we're not sure on that one either. So that'll be one to keep track of as things progress. But hopefully it'll come together as well and as quickly as Inglourious Basterds did.
As it turns out, the Force was only with us for about 25 years. Because Star Wars is a jackhammer to the scritch. There was this big to-do yesterday about May the 4th being some special Star Wars related date. And kids in England were camped out in the middle of their secret sleep waiting to find this news. They thought maybe they'd be announcing a new live action film, or maybe they would be releasing the Ewok Adventure in 3D, or maybe some other great shit was going to happen. But in actuality, all it was they announced that the special features for the Blu-rays of Star Wars. And the great news about this is, no, they're not going to take care of the fans. They're going to be giving you what they want to give you. You're not going to get your original editions. Greedo is going to take a shit on Han now first.
All right, another little thing I wanted to note was, I believe it was just last night, the new trailer for Conan the Barbarian came out. Not O'Brien, the Barbarian, O'Barbarian. And I watched it. It didn't do much for me. I didn't hate it by any means. It looks like it could be fun if it's not completely stupid, but I don't think it's exactly what people were hoping for, like a complete throwback to the literary source material. But it looks like it could be fun. But I noticed in the trailer they did the odd thing of using a very particular sound effect, not one, not two, but 3 times, very subtly mixed in there. But it's a thing I thought I'd tell you a little bit about if you're not familiar. It's colloquially known as the Howie scream, or the TIE Fighter scream. And it's often mistaken for the Wilhelm scream, but it's something very different. Its actual name is Screams 3, Man, Gut-Wrenching Scream and Fall into Distance. And it's another sound effect that's gotten passed around by sound designers and added in, but it's a little more ostentatious than the Wilhelm scream. You've seen it. It's gotten titled the Howie scream because of Howie Mandel emits it as he falls off a train in Broken Arrow. It was used in a lot of 90s cartoons, like the intro to Ah, Real Monsters and Rocko's Modern Life, and it's shown up in a lot of movies since. But it's in the Conan trailer very subtly 3 different times, so take a listen for that. It's kind of weird.
Kula raises the souls of the unspeakably evil. Conan!
You want to talk about great things? Let's talk about Game of Thrones. It's going very well on the television. Let's talk about Justified. Just finished its 2nd season in delightful fashion, wrapping up some things and opening up some other things. It was a good season. I think that show is here to stay. Tim Oliphant has a very square jaw, and I have a feeling that Graham Yost, the man who's in charge of the show, has only begun to unweave his web of intrigue, because he was involved in Speed.
Yeah, so Thor.
Thor was awesome.
Thor was pretty cool.
A lot of fun.
I kind of forgot about it instantly, but I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
And despite all the hype about, canted angles and shit like that, I thought it was really well shot. It actually ended up feeling, to me, kind of small.
See, it felt big to me.
Did it?
It felt big to me because of how much Asgard stuff there was. I love the fact that, aside from like a few minutes where they kind of introduced Thor landing in America, They go to Asgard. They spend a good bit of time there, and they build this huge world where there's all sorts of stuff going on. And
Absolutely.
And I think partially is because I was afraid that they were going to completely tone down a lot of that stuff and try to make it palatable for the masses. I think they did a good job of basically telling us there's a lot that we don't know and kind of putting us in the middle of it, and I think it works. And I also think that it helps that Brana, the look of the movies, like the stuff in Asgard, it doesn't feel like your generic run-of-the-mill fantasy world. I mean, it obviously has elements from various things, but
the designs were really great, and I loved how ostentatious it was, and like it had no problem with like completely outlandish costumes. It didn't have any problem putting those in real world context. It was completely unashamed of all its imagery, and I dug that. I think the problem I had with Asgard, and I love that it was there, I love that it was at least half the movie. I mean it was almost
I think
more.
It felt that way at least.
I still had the same problem with that to a lesser extent that I did with Tron Legacy and the grid, and is that I felt like you go into this really, interesting world, but you're only seeing like a select few kind of top tier rooms. I didn't really get much of a texture of like the people that live there. There was a couple crowd shots where there's like thousands of people, but you never get any street level. You don't get the little textural, detailed nuances of it, or really much glimpse of that. It's all like the King's Chambers.
I think they had
stuff.
to. I mean, they had so much to introduce. I mean, they're building a world, and what they're doing is they're expanding the Marvel universe exponentially. I mean, like, because if you think about Iron Man and Captain America and even like Hulk and the X-Men movies, it's a very, they don't even touch the idea that there's something larger out there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
considering what they had to achieve and considering that it's a PG-13 movie that's geared towards younger people, I think they pulled off an incredible amount. And I actually think that where Tron Legacy messed up in the grid, where you never really felt like it was like it didn't extend beyond the frame.
Right.
I liked what they did here too, because they basically, it's cosmic. I mean, the stuff involving space, where they're standing at the edge, peering into the
that was all
cosmos.
gorgeous.
It just alludes. I mean, and it may be subterfuge and it may be fake, but it makes me feel like these people are a part of something larger. And I think it helps too that Brana is not your typical director for this kind of thing, and even the action scenes are very good, and there's some really nice stuff. But it almost felt like we were watching something that's a little bit more substance than.
Yeah, and I love the design. I guess what almost frustrated is that I actually did feel a legitimate sense of scale with Asgard. Like I felt like there was a full city. I felt like it was real and populated and had its own like machinations and shit going on. And I wanted to see more of that. And I hope that's something that that's a good ground for them in the future sequels. I doubt they'll do it in the Avengers, but in future Thor standalone movies, I hope to see more.
Actually, it seems like Thor and Green Lantern are almost similar movies in a lot of respects, and I love the fact, because I don't like Green Lantern, and I was never really a Thor reader, but I always felt like it was interesting but I always thought it was unfilmable, and I love the fact that they've taken these sort of B-level characters and done some really cool stuff with it, and given them massive budgets and a really nice spectacle. I'm sure Green Lantern's going to out-spectacle Thor in the grand scheme of things. If you look at the new trailer, it's huge.
Yeah.
But Thor, to me, has a charisma, and I really...
Hemsworth was great.
Hemsworth's great. And I don't know, if my favorite scene in the movie is like a really small moment involving a hammer on a chest. That
was really nice.
What a great moment that was.
That was well done.
So I'm thrilled. I'm really excited about it. My expectations weren't high for it, but to me, it felt in the same way that Iron Man kind of appealed to me even though some of the action scenes in Iron Man weren't that great, the movie was resoundingly successful to me as an entertainment, and it made me excited, and it kind of rekindled a lot of the childhood things. Like, it basically delivered on a lot of years of comic book reading for me. That's how I feel about Thor too. So unless you really want to hate it, I can't see why you're not going to have a good time.